Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our session today. My name is Michael Yang. I'm a director of product at Elastic. With me in today's session is Suyog, who is a director of engineering at Elastic. So we have something very exciting to share with you today. So in short, we want to show you in terms of how easy it can be to ingest data from Google Cloud, Azure, or AWS into Elastic Stack that you have. We call it agentless data ingestion. This is all of the ingestion done within the Cloud Console. And we're very excited to share some of the overview and the live demo with you. So without a further delay, let's get started. So first of all, you may be asking why agentless data ingestion, right? So let's say you're a developer or SRE or security analyst using Google, AWS, or Azure services to develop applications or set up infrastructure. You're also a user of Elasticstack or thinking about using Elasticstack to troubleshoot, monitor, or look for security anomalies from these application infrastructure that you build using cloud services. Now, what if we were to give you a seamless way, a really easy way to ingest data into Elasticstack with just a few clicks in AWS, GCP, Azure provider console? We call it an easy button, an easy way to ingest data in. And basically, we want to offer this to you because we want to meet you where you are. Because you, as a developer, SRE, or security analyst, you're looking for ways to kind of optimize your data pipeline. A really easy way to ingest the data that's coming from application or infrastructure into Elasticstack for observability, security, or search use cases, right? So and while we're doing this, we want to provide an option as well. You still have an option to use data shippers like Beats, Elastic Agent, or Fluent to ingest data. But having this option for some of you may be a easy way to ingest data into Elasticstack from these different cloud provider services. So let's start with a GCP agentless data ingestion. So today we want to show you two use cases. One use case is involving GCP PubSub, Dataflow, and Elasticsearch. Another use case involving GCP BigQuery, Dataflow, and Elasticsearch. So the first use case, I'm sure a lot of you know GCP PubSub. This is a very popular serverless asynchronous messaging services. Basically, you stream data from GCP ops or custom apps. Let me give you an example. You may be creating logs or events from GCP Cloud Audit, VPC Flow, or firewalls, right? And when you generate these logs and events, that initially goes into GCP operations. And if you want to get those logs and events into Elasticsearch, it has to go through GCP PubSub, which again is a asynchronous messaging services, right? And today, what we want to show you is using Dataflow, you can get these messages out of PubSub into Elasticsearch, all within the GCP Dataflow Cloud Console. Just a few clicks to make this happen. The second use case we want to show you is involving a BigQuery, right? So GCP BigQuery is a very popular data warehousing services, all serverless, that's used by many of you. And what we want to do is use for aggregating clickstream for structured or unstructured data for data sources. You do different analysis on it. But after you're done with analysis, you may want to share those analysis in a dashboard. This is where like Elasticstack's Kibana may come into place. Also, you may want to use Elasticsearch for full text search, which isn't available in BigQuery today. So getting this data out from BigQuery into Elasticsearch using Dataflow, again, all within the GCP Dataflow Cloud Console, so that you can start to easily visualize or start doing full text search within Elasticsearch, all from the data within BigQuery, again, with just a few clicks. With this, let me hand it over to, I have one more slide. So this is really a high-level flow in terms of how this data ingestion works. So PubSub to Dataflow Elasticsearch, again, You don't need to use a third-party data shippers like Beats or Fluent Bits. And Suyog's going to show you in terms of how you can do this in Dataflow out-of-the-box template. And the second, from BigQuery Dataflow to Elasticsearch, again, using the out-of-the-box Dataflow templates. So with this, let me hand it over to Suyog, who's going to show you a demo on how to do this.
Thanks, Michael. We're going to start our demo on the Kibana homepage. Kibana now has a web UI to manage all of your integration, whether it is for agents, agentless. This is your one-stop page to view all the integrations, install them, and to manage them. Integrations are a powerful feature in the Elastic ecosystem that helps you connect to many different sources, and they come prepackaged with dashboards. They come prepackaged with alerts and machine learning jobs even, so you can go from ingesting your data into insights very, very quickly. So we're gonna install one such integration today, which is the Google Cloud Platform logs. So I'm gonna click this button here and go through a few screens. This is now installing all the dashboards and the pre-built artifacts so that we are ready to ingest data and get the insights. Okay, so this is now done. So we're gonna go to our dashboard here. You can see that it has already installed the GCP audit dashboard. And we don't have any data. We're gonna do that in the next step. So now let's navigate to the Google Cloud Platform console. So for the purpose of this demo, we're gonna analyze two logs, audit logs and VPC flow logs. These are two very important logs for any operator or any person using Google Cloud accounts. Audit logs are emitted by all the Google resources. It tells you what happened, where it happened, and how it happened. And getting them into the Elastic Stack gives you a powerful way to slice and dice, to visualize and use our observability solution to understand what exactly is going on in your Google Cloud account. So we're just gonna do that now. So audit logs and VPC flow logs are already a topic that I created. Now, as Michael said, we wanna make it very easy for you to take these logs and get it into the Elasticsearch deployment that you have on cloud. Now, the way to do that is using the Dataflow product, and we just built a template for you so that it's very easy to do this. Now, I'm gonna use a custom template here, but soon we're gonna be available in the screen so that you have even less clicks to click on. Let me look for one of my custom templates. So when I look for the pops up to Elasticsearch template in the dropdown, you'll be presented with these parameters. There's very few questions that we ask you to get yourself going with this data. We ask you where the subscription is, which is a topic that we just saw, the Elasticsearch coordinates, like the cloud ID, and the API key so that we have permission to ingest this data into your deployment. Now you can just hit run job after entering these details, but I'm not gonna do that now because it's gonna take a couple of minutes. And I've already ingested all this data into a cluster before this demo started so that we can understand how to use this data. Now this is back in Kibana. We're in the Discover page, and you can see that the data has come pre-parsed, and you can see GCP's audit information, all in a nice field, all organized so that you can just go and start analyzing them. So we're just now gonna go to the dashboard that we previously looked at, the GCP audit dashboard. And as you can see here, we have the last 2 weeks worth of data, and now we can see your activity from the GCP account. And you can see here for us, the Elastic account that we're using for GCP, we have activity mostly centered around the US Central region and the US East one. And you can also see that there are some spikes here for this particular day. So these are very important to understand, like real-time security analysis, and to understand how your resources are being used. For us, we use a lot of GKE, Kubernetes engine, to run our application. So you can see a lot of Kubernetes resources here in our, the pie chart here as a breakdown. You can also see who made these changes. In our use case, as I said, there's a lot of system users because there are changes that are happening in the GKE engine that helps us analyze that the usage of GKE and all the different forensics that you can do with this data. So this is a great dashboard, and that is just one data set. Now let's go back to our Discover page. Remember that I also showed you the VPC flow log? You can get that data as well, very similarly to what we did in audit. Now I'm gonna enable this filter, so we can just focus on the VPC flow log. And it's the same story, right? These logs are parsed using our ingest job. So you don't have to do anything, just send those logs. And then you have all this rich data so you can analyze them. One such thing that I've built for us demo here is a list of top IP addresses which send the data to other IP addresses. So VPC flow log is an important type of log that records network data activity from a VM in Google Cloud Platform to another VM in Google Cloud Platform. It helps us analyze, any kind of threats, any kind of overusage or DDoS attacks in the context of your network data. So here you can see that, I have the source IP who's sending a lot of records, and I can also see the destination IP that is receiving all these packets as well. And with this, I can correlate, any anomalies or any unintended behavior that we can then alert on. So all of this information is available for you here in Kibana. So all through this one-click data flow template. Okay, now let's move on to our next demo, which is a completely different product, a very popular one in Google Cloud, which Michael mentioned. This is the BigQuery. I'm in this BigQuery product view in the console, and I want to show you a preview of the data that I've held in this BigQuery table. This is the Stack Overflow post, the popular Q&A question and answer engine that I've ingested the data into BigQuery. Now, you can see here that it has a title, a text which has body, and then many attributes about the users who posted it, and the comments, etc. Now, while this is great to query here, the power of Elastic Stack is in full text search and being able to analyze and visualize easily. So we want to get this data into Elastic Stack very easily, again, through this data flow job. So we have a drop down where you can pick, I want to get data from BigQuery into Elasticsearch. It'll ask you a couple of details like, what table should I read this data from? And the usual Elasticsearch coordinates so that we can tell which deployment we can send this data to. Okay, so now let's navigate to our Kibana page where we've ingested this data through the data flow job. Let's pick stack posts. This is the data that I just showed in the BigQuery table, and you can see the body here, etc. Now let's see the power of Elastic, where I can use the structured and unstructured search very easily, all in the same page. Now I'm looking for all the posts that are tagged Python and that has the keyword asynchronous in it, anywhere in the body, anywhere it is in the text that I just sent. You can see we highlighted, and this is where you can bring the data from your BigQuery, bring it into Kibana, and then you can do more powerful analytics. For example, you can say, give me the top 5 users who posted it. And it's so easy to just click visualize using a new lens feature. So I can see that a person called Darren Thomas, David, these are all posts pertaining to this particular tag and this query. So with that, you can see the data flow template makes it very easy, agentless, to get all your data from the Google Cloud Platform into Elasticsearch deployment on your cloud. Michael, I'm handing it back to you for the next section.
Thank you, Suyog. That was a great demo. All right, folks. So that was a great demo of the agentless ingestion for the Google Cloud environment. So why don't we move to AWS? I'm sure many of you are AWS Cloud Services users. And in this case, what we wanted to highlight is 3 use cases. I think the first use case involves the S3 agentless ingestion using SARs, which is AWS's serverless application repository. AWS SAR is a managed repository for serverless applications available within the Lambda console. I typically think of it as next generation of AWS Blueprint, where you can easily deploy predefined Lambda functions through AWS console. Obviously, why would you want to do that in terms of ingesting data from AWS S3 to Elasticsearch? There are lots of use cases, right? S3 is used to store events. They can be analyzed later for security, application, or any type of infrastructure analytics that you may need to do. So being able to do that using a Lambda print predefined that you can easily select through AWS SAR console, I think this is really easy to use. Again, we'll show you a demo on that. The second use case involves AWS Fargate, File-Lens, and Elasticsearch. So Fargate is essentially a serverless compute engine for AWS's Kubernetes offerings, right? Whether you're using AWS ECS or EKS, Fargate is an option that you can choose to use as underlying serverless compute engine. Now, within the Fargate, you can integrate File-Lens, which is a container log router that allows users to select, where to forward these Fargate logs that's coming from ECS and EKS. Obviously, in this use case, we want to demonstrate in terms of how that can be done, ingesting that data into Elasticsearch. Ingesting agentless log ingestion from Fargate to Elasticsearch is obviously supported by File-Lens. So there's no need to go, no need to use AWS CloudWatch to aggregate logs, and you can just use this integration to ingest logs directly from Fargate via File-Lens integration into Elasticsearch. The last use case is something that we've been working on very actively, which is AWS Firehose. I'm sure you all know AWS Firehose if you're a user of AWS. It's a very popular data streaming services that the AWS offer to ingest various different data sources into another AWS services or the third-party tools like Elasticsearch, Elasticstack. So we're actively working with AWS team in terms of providing these capabilities. It's something that we want to show you in near term in terms of the power of it. Now, in terms of the demo that Suyog is going to cover today, he's going to show you the SAR integration. And before we get to the demo, again, just to give high-level overview in terms of how this integration works is that the S3 to Elastic Cloud, again, no need to install Beats on AWS EC2, just to choose Elastic Agent login template from AWS SAR and start ingesting logs and events from S3 to Elasticsearch. So this is something that we want to show you in a live demo. Again, both of these features are coming soon, which should be available to you in your term. Meanwhile, we want to show you a sneak peek of it. And let me hand it over to Suyog.
Thanks, Michael. We're back in our integrations page on Kibana. And previously, we had installed the Google Cloud Platform integration, which brought you a lot of the dashboards to analyze Google Cloud specific logs. And for this demo, which is the AWS logs, we're going to do something similar. And we're going to pick the AWS CloudTrail integration and add it to our repository of integrations that are available in this deployment. So I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that here. But let's start our journey now from the Amazon AWS Services console. As Michael said, we want to make it very easy for you to get data from CloudTrail, Kinesis, Firehose, CloudWatch, all the different AWS services that generate logs and events into Elasticsearch. One such example is CloudTrail. For CloudTrail, you can very simply create a trail button and start like trailing logs into an S3 bucket. And I've just done that. So I'm showing this S3 bucket here that has lots of CloudTrail logs from different regions, right? So if you go back here, you can see all the different regions that collect these CloudTrail logs. And this is very important because CloudTrail lets you analyze all the operational insights from your Amazon AWS account, and it helps you detect any anomalies. And very similar to GCP audit logs that we just saw, you can get information about who's using what services, when did they make a change, and then why did they make a change, right? So you can use that for your auditing and compliance and governance reasons. Okay, so now our objective is to take all these logs and without installing anything, send them to Elasticsearch. Now let's navigate to our Lambda product page in AWS. As Michael saw and shared in the screenshot, we have the serverless application repository, SAR, as this is the next generation blueprint product from AWS. And Elastic has agentless logging solution that is pre-built, and it is written in Go and has a CloudFormation template that helps you set up some of your resources. For example, an S3 bucket to host it, and then it knows what it can give you environment variables that tell you which Elasticsearch deployment to send these logs in, and you have to supply the API key, and that's pretty much it. And you can create a function, and I'm not going to go through this because, as I said, it takes a couple of minutes to set the setup, but it's very easy to create a function. And then you create a trigger on your S3 so that every time a new file gets added to your S3, a new CloudTrail log file, that gets, that triggers this function, and the function then sends us over to the Elasticsearch deployment of your choice. Now, let's navigate to our dashboard that we just installed. And now this is filled with data. And this is the power of the integration, right? You don't have to do any parsing. You don't have to deal with any kind of like visualization or creating it. And this is yours now, the dashboard. You can make changes, start from here, and you just get a lot of insights for free using that integration. As you can already see here, there's a lot of activities from different user agents. And now I can analyze that who's sending from like the Boto AWS, the client side library, and what are all the different resources that got changed. And if there's any spike or anomaly that I can create an alert on, right? So you can get actionable insights. And you have these raw logs for us to do more analysis. So with this, I'm handing it over back to Michael to talk about Azure next.
Thank you, Suyog. That was a great demo. All right, folks, let's go to the Azure data less ingestion. So for Azure, I want to highlight one thing here. So we have worked with Azure, very similar to AWS and Google Cloud, in terms of providing a really easy way to ingest logs, in this case, from Azure platform logs. So Azure platform logs could be in examples like Azure Cosmos DB or SQL DB, CDN, App Services, Spring Cloud, various different Azure services. And when you're using these services, you may need to track activities or logs associated with it. It could be things like a certain resource level actions or create IP rule for firewall. It could be any number of actions that a user may be taking. We want to take these logs and activities to Elastic Cloud so that we can kind of look at in terms of how the users are using, and we can do further analysis. This is just one of the examples, and there are many other use cases for it. So we specifically worked with Azure to provide this easy way to ingest data for Azure Marketplace. So what that means is that you can go to Azure Marketplace, select Elasticsearch service, all within the console of Azure Marketplace console, and set this up integration all without leaving Azure console, which is really super easy to use. So this is a screenshot of it in terms of you go to Marketplace, once you procure Elasticsearch service, or you may already have, just go to the diagnostic settings and put in a few parameters and you're good to go. So you don't need to go install beads on Azure Compute. You just enable log selections within this configuration screen and start ingesting logs or activities, events from various different Azure services directly into Elasticsearch. Just because of the time today, they won't have anything to show you, but we do have a separate session that shows you in terms of how you can provision Elasticsearch service from Azure Marketplace and be able to set this ingestion up all within Azure console. And be sure to check out those sessions. So that's all for today. And I really appreciate you attending today's session here. And I just want to highlight the things that we covered today in terms of agentless ingestion across GCP, AWS, Azure. We do have blogs and documentation. So be sure to check those our collaterals. And we will certainly keep you up to date in terms of additional data ingestions that we have in store across cloud providers. Thank you very much.